has ever done.
Can you hear me, man? What's going on, man? Happy Monday.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What's happening? Another beautiful day. How you?
All right, all right. Hey, listen, man. I saw that list of stuff you talked about, man. I thought everything on the list we could go ahead and hop around, but so the trauma of success, huh? That's what we're going to talk about. We waiting for some folks to come in. So we starting this off a little awkward anyway, a little later. I thought I had the night off. BMU sent me a message.
Dumbass.
God sent me a message. That's all right. I'm chilling, man. Lucky I didn't break my bottle of cognac and shit, man. I might have been 2 sheets to the wind right now.
All right, Shannon Sharp.
You fat, bald-headed, no-neck midget. I sentence you to 3,000 lashes for conduct unbecoming a black man.
Yeah, I'm talking shit, man. I haven't had a hard drink, man, in around maybe 6 months, maybe even longer. Can't do it like I used to.
Yeah. Sometimes it's overrated. That getting drunk shit is overrated, dog. That's for the youth. That's for the young, man.
Hell yeah, I leave all that shit to you. I'm learning more to say that more and more. I say, hey, shit, the future ain't mine, it's yours, man. Go ahead and do something with it. I'm already blamed for it. Every bad thing in the whole world, I'm blamed for already, man, as a baby boomer. So, fuck it, I did my damage. Now it's up to you. It's up to you guys to fix it. It's up to you guys to fix it. So what's going on, man? So did you come up with this? The trauma of success.
Yeah. So part of this conversation, of course, came from a video that I was watching recently, but to tie it into something that has been going on recently in the news is you hear Shannon Sharp settled out of court for that.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, right. So I think some of the stuff that comes along with being successful is the dumb shit that we involve ourselves in. And I think that man is a great example of the dumb shit that came with him getting a 50 million. 50 million.
Yeah, they didn't let us know what he settled for, though.
Oh, he ain't gonna say that number. He don't
want
nobody.
That. Well, we know that it was enough for the chick to quit her OnlyFans.
Jesus Lord, yeah.
She said. She said, "I'm done." Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
No, it's just, people pay a lot of money to hide, like to keep secrets. People pay a lot of money to keep secrets, and that shit. She must know some things. She must have did some things to that man, because that's a lot of money.
Well, the point really is that whether he committed a crime or not, it's just the embarrassment of having all that shit disclosed. You know what I'm saying? It's just the embarrassment of having to get up on the stand and let all the salacious details. She was, he said, man, I wanted her to call me Big Nigga Buck, and all that kind of shit, Come here, come on, you Big Nigga Buck, man. I need you. He just doing. His embarrassment. I don't think he'll ever be back on ESPN. I think that job is gone. You know why? Here's my theory. Molly Purim will never want to work with him again. Molly Purim will have a lot of trouble with him. She might not say it publicly. She'll have a lot of trouble with him being back.
She probably.
If you think about her positions over the year, I'm not so sure I'm hating on her for that too. Because the truth of the matter is, he's an idiot.
I think it would be a matter of what he's willing to do, because look, man, the football season come back. Everybody loves football. They're gonna forget all about this by the time football come back. Most of the fans get all about it.
Remember now, he's sitting shoulder to shoulder with Molly. She ain't gonna forget.
Yeah, but him on First Take, I can see that. Him on First Take, that's probably over with, right?
Yeah,
But
that's what I'm talking about. First take. That's what I'm talking about. First take. Maybe some other capacity. You're right, because he is a Hall of Famer and all that stuff. But sitting next to her and them trying to avoid the elephant in the room and not talking about it, it may fade into the sunset, but that's not how women operate, right? They don't forget shit, especially when they advocate for, a man is guilty but until proven innocent. And she's definitely one of those kind of women. But that's just one example. But the trauma of success is, I guess, adjacent cousin to the fact that some people and some men have a fear of success and they self sabotage. So we're talking about self sabotage. How many opportunities or how many times have we seen men on their way, and all of a sudden they do the dumbest shit in the whole world? Not just like sexually, but just dumb shit. Get caught up with, they can't let go of a cousin or somebody, somebody from the old block, you know, or like Anthony Edwards on top of the world, just shooting up the club, just shooting up the club and said, bang, 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 And now he has a baby mama and shit that he can't stand. And a baby he wants to publicly kind of say, I know it's mine, but I don't give a shit. She can eat mud for all I care. I mean, that's not a good look. It's not.
It's not. But I mean, you do know the saying that money doesn't change what makes you more of who you are.
Of course.
You know what I'm
Of
saying?
course, I agree with that.
It's just sometimes here's what I think about all the time. I need to find out what is the income level, like what is that income level that's what that threshold before you compromise yourself. It seems like, I mean, how can I say that makes sense? Of course, everybody has a different number. The bullshit they would be willing to do. Everybody has a different number. But it just seems like once you get over a certain income level, it's just a bunch of bullshit that come along. Because a lot of people you just named are making a lot of money, but they got a lot of wild shit that come with them. I don't want to get to, if you tell me that threshold is $100 million, like tell me that it's 100 million so I can stop at like 85.
But is there a threshold? I mean, there's levels to it, but you don't have to be on your way to being a multimillionaire to self-sabotage, right? How about that? How about that regular guy who's in college or in trade school, or gets his first opportunity at a job, but he can't show up on time, and he has a whole bunch of bullshit excuses. And I say he could be a woman too, but I'm just saying, there's people self-sabotage. Right? You ever have a person? I got a job. It's a job of it's going to pay my bills. I got to be there at 8:00, and the one rule they have is that you got to be on time. And all of a sudden, you got a whole myriad of excuses on why you can't show up before 8:15. That kind of stuff.
Oh my God, 8:15. Jesus Lord.
But instead of showing up at 7:45.
Yeah.
So you're there. So I mean, it happens. So I mean, a lot of people there. I mean, we're all guilty of some measure of that. And if you realize that you might be guilty, then that's at least the first step to correcting it. Correct? That, and some people call it procrastination in some way. And some procrastination is innocent, and some could be very harmful.
Lord knows that's my demon. Procrastination has always been my demon. Lord knows. I was one of them kids in high school where if you tell me a paper is due on Friday, I'll start it on Thursday.
You ain't alone, man. Everybody can relate to that.
Hey, and I guarantee you I get at least a B on it.
Oh, well, there you go.
And it used to piss my mother off. Like, damn, if you would just stop being so fucking lazy and just do it on time, you would have got an A, your stupid ass. But you just want to be lazy and wait till the last minute. Yeah. Procrastination is definitely my demon. Lord knows that. In terms of self-sabotage,
I guess that would be the term for it. Because I just think that people that have a tendency to, as you said, self-sabotage, just I don't think they looking to mess up their situation. It's just when you stupid, you get comfortable and do stupid shit, you know. And like you said, money makes you more who you are. So when you do get a job, so when you do find a job and you find out that it's perfect and everything works for you, the hours is nice, the paycheck is decent, you able to figure out how to live on that. It does get to a point to where you probably are going to be 15 minutes late for work because you just got comfortable. Like you just got fucking comfortable. Like you ain't trying to blow up your spot. You just got comfortable with your stupid ass.
It's true. So I mean, there's there's a lot. I mean, of course, there's a lot of psychology behind how people behave when they're on their way, and even getting started. A lot of people are stuck with too much analysis before they move. They don't like to take a step in the dark. There's a lot of psychology around it. Like for example, I told my kids, I said, well, listen. And I work this way. I mean, I might not know the answer, but I know if I have an inkling of the direction we should go in, I talk, with all the plans you have, I start taking steps down a certain direction. And as you start taking steps towards whatever that goal is, it seems like the world kind of opens up, and your answers come to you as you're seeking them. And then if you get to a certain point, you can say, well, shit, man, I thought it was a good idea, but this is not it. Then now you can make some kind of mid-course correction and say, well, maybe I need to add this, or I need to have this kind of person on. I don't know. It's just like this. I mean, I wasn't like as successful as I could have been. I mean, I think in my job and in my profession, I mean, I know what kept me back. I do. I just wasn't. It just, but I got far enough where I said, you know what, I can live in this space, but I probably could have done a lot more.
So one of the in the conversation that we were watching,
or in the conversation that I was watching, one of the traumas that was spoken about was that balance of family, right? So to be in a space excuse me, to be in a space where you are in a career where you at least are okay with your job. You might not love your job, but you're okay with your job. You want to do it as best as you possibly can. How do you balance that? So for you, now that you're retired, how did you balance that family and working as hard as I need to provide for my family? How do you balance that?
Well, I didn't. I didn't balance it. I didn't balance it the way I should have. I know at one point I wasn't always out of balance, but I got out of balance. I used to work, and you get all this shit in retrospect, right? Because one of the most important jobs I had with the Department of the Army kept me on the road for like 10 years of my life. Almost 2 weeks out of a month for almost 10 years. And now looking back at it, those were formative years where my daughters were growing up. And I mean, it kept a roof over the head. I mean, I got out of shape, so I was completely out of balance. With working, hotel food, the gyms were right there. I ripped my Achilles tendon and playing basketball, no less. That used to keep me in shape, and I just never recovered from that. And it's been my big excuse. And then I blew my knee out, and then so I could rehab both of those things, but it was just work. As long as I was paying the bills, getting them through school, making sure whatever those pressures in life didn't impact my home life in terms of, because we were pretty mellow in the house. My kids were they didn't need over parenting, because I could see the way they turned out. And a lot of that's due to my wife. But I don't think I was in that much balance. I really don't. But I don't think I would have worked any less. I think I should have been able to deal with it a little bit better with everything else. You know, I mean, I had to. I mean, we talking about one income, man. You know, my wife had a little job. That's only so she didn't have to ask me for money. But everything was on my shoulders. So I couldn't really like breathe. You know, I couldn't breathe. You know, I couldn't let anything fall apart. You know, so I mean, it was a certain amount of pressure, but it never made me afraid to do things. Not especially with my job, man. I was always on the forefront of trying new things, and when I didn't have the answers, you know, because I said if I don't have the answers, there's some smart motherfucker out here who might. And I just want to make sure I put them on the team. You know.
Yeah. See, and this is I think that's a important part of,
so like whenever people are into having the conversation of teaching young boys to be men, I think that is a part of the conversation that has to be had, because there really is no way to balance what it is that you're talking about. Like if we're going to be realistic and objective, there is no real way to balance it for real. Like there's a there are people who are privileged that are in privileged positions that have the ability to balance it better than most people will. I'll say that. I'll say it that way.
Right,
The people that are able to balance it are more privileged than what people generally are. You know what I'm saying? To be a single income, right? So to be the man of the house, to be the single income, and to be responsible for providing and taking care of everything that needs to be taken care of your household, that requires taking your ass to work. You know what I'm saying? And in most cases, the higher the salary, the more time is required at your job.
Yes, no doubt about that.
You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah,
somebody that has a job and you make a $80,000 salary, you're probably putting in anywhere from 50 to 70 hours a week at your job. If you have a salary of that number, you're probably putting in anything close to 50 to 70 hours. And then if you are in a 100, if you are in a 6-figure salary, you probably are a I'm never off of work type of individual. Your work goes with you everywhere you go. Anytime your phone ring, if your boss or your supervisor, your whoever is fucking calling you or texting you, if you making over $100,000 a year, you're probably working in a job where as soon as that phone rings, you need to be moving towards wherever the fuck.
Yeah, you know, yeah, you are right. Mine wasn't necessarily being on a 24-hour call, but mine was having to go on travel. I mean, the project I was on took me to took me to West Coast, Florida, Seattle, California, Florida, Atlanta, Detroit, St. Louis. I mean, I was Arizona. I was all over the place for like 10 years, just different defense contractors, and they were all over the Colorado. I was all over the place, man. So that's the one thing I had to do. I had to travel. Had to travel, man. I was walking up all those airports, man. We had all kinds of frequent flyer miles and all that kind of stuff. But that was time. That was really time, man.
See, and it's though. So now that's what you're talking about: the games, the birthdays, the recitals, the sleepovers, all the shit that you're missing now. You know what I'm saying? The first walks, the first words, all that shit. Now it's a bunch of stuff that you're missing now, and then it gets received in such a negative way because now your kids are looking at it like my dad was never around. He was always at work.
Yeah, so here's my cautionary tale. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you. Go ahead and finish that. But here's what I told her. But see, that's where the woman steps in, right? This is where you have to make sure your woman is on your team because she's got to be your edifier. This is why your pops ain't here. This is why he's got to go. This is what he's doing. And all of these things that we have that's the sacrifice he has to make for us. And if you got to have a lady willing to tell the kids that, you know. But the thing that I thought was mostly wasn't like those things. Like I took on my days off when I was here, I took my daughter to guitar lessons and tennis lessons. It's like on the weekends. Some of those weekends, I did a lot of that stuff. It was the things you really miss when you're not here is the serendipities of life, right? Because life is spontaneous, right? Your kids might say something or do something, and if you're in proximity to them, and there's some shit that they do is like off, and you're there, now you can correct it on the spot. And when you're out, those little serendipities you don't get because you ain't there. They might say something that you miss. That if I was there, I would say, don't speak like that. Don't be dismissive to your mother. Don't make that kind of decision in this kind of situation. And you catch some of those things though, because I've done that. I was lucky enough or blessed enough to catch my daughter saying some shit, and I was there, and I had to take them and say, "Let me talk to you a little bit, on the side about what you said. Let's kind of flesh that one out. If I was Hamp, let's let's mine this out. You know what I'm saying? That kind of stuff. And those are the serendipities that you miss when you're not around. So those are important too. I mean, so I don't know, man. A lot of it is just a blessing that I guess I say it's a blessing. I hope it ain't over because I expect to have another 20 years or so. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, but the point really is that to get to where I'm at, I'm saying, shit, man, I had to navigate some waters, and it's just by the will of God and blessings that I'm here talking about this stuff, and I don't have a lot of horror stories.
Yeah, I think
right. It's not like you know what I'm saying.
No, I think something that you said was definitely important there. It was picking the right woman, you know what I'm saying? Because excuse me, because that the ability to get a phone call, know that your job is going to send you away, right? And when you do pick the right woman, being able to call her and say, "Hey, look, this is what's about to happen. Woo, this, that, the other," and her being able to hold it down, and like you said, being able to step in and say, "Hey, well, hey, you're not about to say that about your father. The only reason he's not here is because he's taking care." You know what I'm saying? Rather than, yeah, your daddy surely he really ain't been around here.
Yeah, that kind of shit. Yeah. I know how you feel. He is kind of fucked up, ain't he? Yeah. So it's important, and the edification is important. Let's hit Curtis's super chat. Happy Monday, fellas. $4.99. Hey, thanks a lot, Curtis. So, but yeah, so that I mean, there it is. I mean, I saw a clip. Now that we're talking about this, I couldn't go to the clip. There's a real short clip on this exact topic, the trauma of success. Maybe we should. Let's show it up, see what this guy has to say. Now, I didn't see the whole thing, but it's like kind of on the topic, so it might be a nugget in there that might be worthwhile. What's going on, Coach? Oh man, Phantom Coach. There you go. Yeah, what's going on? Let me go ahead and see what this clip looks like, man. What's going on, Coach?
No, what's man, this saw that you was live, man. I can catch the show. So yeah, and the title got my, it got me, with my spidey senses like interesting because
So it sounds like you're breaking up. Maybe it's me. Are you breaking up or is it me?
I don't know. Can you hear it? Can you hear me, 100 watts? Am I breaking up?
Good. You sound good here.
I'm paying. Can you hear me good?
Yeah, I hear you better. Yeah. I hear you better.
Just the title. I don't know how much you got into the title, but yeah, just that title.
Yeah, I'm gonna play a little clip about right on the title. What's going on, Catellia? How you doing? Did I hit it? No, I hit the wrong thing. Damn it. Damn it, I hit the wrong thing. That's part of it.
When you go to the eye doctor, I'll pay. When your next trip.
Yeah, okay. So this guy talked about the title of this one, is the hidden link between trauma and success. Now, I want to hear what this guy has to say. Maybe he has something to the top that could add something to the top.
The things that you come to appreciate in life, the actual values that you hold dear, whether it's loyalty, whether it's family, whether it's independence, I don't care what it is, it's born out of this intersection of your experience and the trauma or the pain that sort of created it. My pain was basically this. My childhood consisted of these two frequently heard words, and sometimes they were put different ways, but it was essentially you can't learn, you can't be an artist. And so what I want you to recognize is that it is no surprise that the boy who was told he can't learn, the boy that was told you should quit art, he became both an artist and an educator. We would look at that and go, that is incredibly ironic. But from a psychological standpoint, it actually makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense that I would fight back against the things that were painful to me. And then once I get through those, they kind of shape the core values that I have. Your core value.
I think that was the end of it. Kind of makes sense there. Right? I mean, you hit on a couple of points there. And we didn't talk about that, your upbringing and the kind of things that you hear kind of could shape how your success in life as well. You know, so no, go ahead, Coach. What do you think? Yeah, he's shaking. Okay.
Reason why I give it. Okay, so I look at
he didn't take it out the crack era.
No, I compartmentalize stuff like that, right? Because I equate my own life. You know what I'm saying? My father was a hard worker. My mother was a hard worker. They never really said, Calvin, go do. I just did stuff. I used to sign myself up in stuff in the neighborhood and come back and tell my mother. And sometimes I have a trophy or a ribbon, you know what I'm saying? So, but then even with my son, I did so much as a kid. And it wasn't no adults around saying go do, not like today. And a lot of adults don't get their children involved in activities to build confidence. Because as we get older, you know, life starts slapping us around. And a lot of people they equate their success to money. They try to too early, especially the adult mind today. Oh, if I ain't got the money, I ain't successful. But what about your building process? See that with the building, are you getting the tools are paying? Are they going to get the certifications and the skills that when they get to a space in life where they don't have to chase the money, will they be able to show their success? Because we like to see, for us, we like to see somebody's success in their face, but then they'll try to shame you while you in showing them success. So it's a thin line with us, but I guess when you're young, and I don't know if a parent would tell you would not encourage you to do something.
It's not just a parent though, right?
But a lot of people can't handle it from peers. Your
peers.
Yeah,
what I'm saying. So it's not just a parent who might say something stupid. What about?
Yeah, but your peers are your peers. I mean, that's where I understood and this is why I see young people struggle, man. They own their peers' opinions too much. Instead of looking at them like, you right here with me, you're not above me or below me.
Okay, let me ask you something though, Coach. That's not a new phenomenon, right?
It's
peer
not.
pressure. No, peer pressure has been that way for centuries. Yeah. So the point really is, this guy made a point, right? He says you might hear some shit like, you can't do this, you can't do that. He was lucky enough to fight through it. I was, and so was I. I had somebody who was a respected person told me I could never be an engineer. Yeah, so I didn't want to hear that shit. But for every one of for me, you, Watts, or anybody else, for every one of us who might hear somebody give us some fuck shit advice, how many people take that advice and just go into a shell?
What you mean? How many people?
How many people? If I had to say more people fight through it, but somebody tells you can't, you know what I'm saying?
I would say more go into a shell.
that's what
but
I'm saying.
Here's the difference though. You came from a family that was supportive. See, a lot of these folk ain't come from families that's supportive. So if your family start telling you can't do it, whether it's a cousin, auntie, uncle, then that's when it's harder on somebody. That's when they go into this deep depression. But a lot of people have experienced that, and now they're on YouTube and they're showing it because because success, our pain is about continued growth.
So I think we're in violent agreement, but to hear the young people say it, and to hear the going saying that the old people, my people, the baby boomer generation, all we did was tell people fucked up advice.
Well,
no, wait, hold on. Wait, I mean, don't we hear that everywhere? The only advice we tell young people, I mean, in my formative years, and as the world has been shaped by baby boomers right now, because there's still enough of us alive and in charge. And a lot of people say it's because of you we got a Gen Z. It's because of you this happened. It's because of you that happened. And it might be true, but it's only a percentage, right? It's only a percentage, right? We don't, you know what I'm saying? Because so all I'm just trying to say is, if we look at all people who succeed, let's look at everybody who has trauma of success, or the things that they have to overcome to get to the success, right? In the end, they got to navigate waters and obstacles, no matter what their upbringing is.
Yeah, for sure. You're 100,000%. But and this, listen, what I've always told young men is this: you don't measure your success with the people around you. You have to look at the world to measure your success. And that's where a lot of people get caught up in. They're looking at their immediate surroundings and said, oh, this is life is going to be messed up. And everybody in there, this is life is going to be messed up. But you can't measure I don't compare my life to a woman at all. I compare my life to man of the world.
Right.
White man, Asian man, black man, Indian man, Hispanic man. That's how I've always wanted to compete. You know what I'm saying? Because even if somebody told me I couldn't do it, once I heard people like that, I never let them out of my sight. I don't break bread with them. I was just that type. And I was always able to sort of manage that type of emotional, I guess, subjugation from other people. Because remember, my father was real. He kept it real. See what I'm saying? I mean, you come from a generation that kept it real. They didn't lie to you. They didn't tell you, you know what I'm saying? They made you accountable. Despite other racists telling you you can't do nothing. I had a white man tell me I can't do nothing. Yo, okay, whatever. I'll show you. I've only been called ninja. I've only been called nigga by one white person in my entire life, and I was 12 years old, right? I've been called black nigga by more black folk that I can't even count. So I think where brothers get caught up is they look at other people on that level and say it's messed up. No. You have to be the special one to say, people done told me I ain't shit. I'm looking at the world. The world is saying you can be shit. So it just have to be important to go move. And unfortunately, a lot of people get it too late. Because ain't no fathers, big uncles, and stepdaddies ain't allowed to have the power like it used to be to say, we need to get him together. You know what I'm saying? And the mothers are caught up in their own life. I got to go out. I got to get this. I got to get that. But we see what the kids are getting dumber and dumber. Even the adults, everybody just sort of shrinking into a bubble. You know, so got to get out and live life till you get old like me and our pain. See, our pain wasn't sitting around every day when he was hustling and working. He was out there hours. He was thinking about the long haul. But a lot of people think about right now. Oh, I got to get right now. I pay you ain't got no money. I don't see you. Let me see your car. Let me see it. You know what I'm saying? But he's retired.
Oh, pull up your bank account. Let me see your bank account.
Yeah, but see,
W2. If you can't show me W2, I don't want to hear shit from you. Shut the fuck up talking to me. So in terms of the trauma, right? So like the traumas of success, right? So excuse me. I can tell you that for myself, some of what my problem has been was the balance of trying to get to it and the family time, right? Because I'm working 2 jobs, both of them no less than 30 hours a week. You know what I'm saying? So I'm pulling 60 hours between these two jobs. Now we got to put sleep somewhere in there. The kids ain't getting no homework time from their daddy. Their mama ain't getting no kind of personal enjoyment time from the daddy. You know what I'm saying? So now having this battle of why don't we spend time together anymore? The kids don't see you. You don't have dinner. Like now I'm trying to balance all of that shit. So how are we telling men to work through this process? Is it just suck it the fuck up and go through it and do it anyway? Or are we supposed to find the balance here?
Well, you know, it's funny that you mentioned that because we used to have these panels on Trigger Mike show, and we had a lady come up, and she was talking about, I appreciate my man, and this is when if you're a married couple or some shit, or you're in a relationship with somebody serious. She said, I understand that you have to work, but I need you around. I need you to be present in the home and all that kind of stuff. And then the argument pursues, just like what you said. Listen, you're sitting down here saying you want a certain kind of life, and the only way you're going to get it is if I put these hours in. And now you're saying I'm not doing enough on this other end. Like you see these trad wives on TikTok coming out. My husband doesn't. He's a great provider. He does all this shit, but he's not present in the home. Like the work part of it is zero to them, right? It's like they don't understand that it's and they say, "Well, I got the kids all day." Yeah, but if you're in control of kids, that all day is not all day unless your kids are like unruly.
They don't love them kids, man, like that,
right? So, but when you're a man, he's out there, man. He come home, he wants a little chill time or whatever. And they act like they don't know. So how do you balance that? Well, again, if the very first thing, if you used to watch cop shows, right? I used to watch cop shows. And almost all those cops, they get divorced. Because at some point, they got to put all this shit about solving crime over the house. And then the woman who married them 10 years ago, all of a sudden can't handle it no more. They want him to come over and talk about that perp and all this shit that he killed or not killed. And when a man says, it's the last fucking thing I want to talk about is my job when I get home. So stop asking me questions about it. But they insist. So that stereotype that the woman is fed up because she can't get her emotional needs met by this guy who has to work all the time. And then these shows are really unsatisfying because it acts like there's never any balance. And so there must be some real life allegories or whatever that word is to that. And it's kind of true. If you don't have the right person who can understand that the greater good is, I got to put this sacrifice in so we can live the style you want. And I need you to cover me on the back end. And what you can do to keep me right is when I do have downtime and I do have some time, that I make the best of it efficiently with you and the children. But when there's time when I don't have nothing left to give, just let me rest, and that's the kind of balance you have to have. Now we got women in the workforce like that, and so if we reverse the roles, what would we say about a man whose wife is working 60 hours a week, right? And they live a certain lifestyle that requires her to do that. And then he's bitching and moaning that he ain't getting boxed every night. We would have, you know what I'm saying? Yo, man, you have your chick out there toiling like a bitch. So she don't want to come home and look at your funky ass so you could grunt and sweat on her ass for a couple of hours or a couple of minutes, like your 5 minutes of fame. And then that's it. So if you reverse it, you could kind of see, so you could really have to have a balance with your spouse or your wife or your husband on how you're going to run shit. Because, melding two people and kids, you really got to be on point.
So Arpain, what is the solution in the balance? Because you say balance. What can couples do to sort of alleviate those issues? Because yeah,
I would say you have to learn how to live in and out of balance.
But what does that mean, Arpain?
Well, it means that every so often things may be a little chaotic, but if it's part of the plan, those rough periods are not going to last forever, right? And if you could measure them, like for example, if I have a project or a program that keeps me out of town for like a year or so, well, here's where we have to do. I mean, not all continuously. I'll come home, right, back and forth, but you still got to go. The conversation has to be that over this period of time, I might be out of town twice a month for the next couple of years in order for us to get something done, right? However it is, pay off the house, do this and that. So I'm gonna need you to hold down.
I understood that as
right. Good. Oh, you froze up? Oh man, I don't know if you froze. I think you froze up a little bit there. 101.
Yeah. Because see, Arpain,
no, go ahead, man. I mean,
see the fact that you've actually put in the years, right? And it's a lot of people who, I guess, don't understand the mindset of what it takes, right? They don't understand that. And this is where we are right now, because it's important to have conversations throughout the process. And it just shows, listen, man, it just shows in the attention of mothers today. Because a lot of their attention is on them, our pain. A lot of these young kids, they can be getting homeschooled and be very smart, but a lot of them don't really get the attention. And they're just allowed to pretty much just roam the house free like little pets. They don't have nap times. They don't have structured eating places.
Well, that's a woman's part. That's that's part of the.
But that's what. Yeah, but that's when it comes down to the husband. You need to do more after you get off work and come in the house. I think
that's if he allows that. I mean, that's if he allows it. I mean,
but he's allowing it. Okay, it's being allowed. Our pain is what I'm saying.
No, we can't. I know, but we're talking about what we can solve, right?
Right. How can a man fix it though? How can it be fixed?
Just like what we're saying, you can't allow it. I mean, a man who just got to stand on a fucking square, pick the right woman, and then when she does some fuck shit, you got to be willing to say something.
Right. So he should always confront that situation head on.
Yes.
Okay. That's what I'm saying. That's what I need to know.
I mean, yes. I mean, the answer is yes. And that's therein lies the rub. Therein lies the rub, right? Because a lot of men don't do that.
Okay, well, brother.
A lot of men, and how do we fix that? Make sure they don't take no fucking advice from Barack Obama and refer to some homosexual to tell them how to handle a woman. You know what I'm saying? Don't do that. They don't need one of those kind of guys. What's going on, Trey? Man. Okay, you know what, man? I told my wife cover her ears because he's getting ready to go in on the married women. Go get it.
No, he can't.
We can't hear you, man. Something's you're on mute, Trey.
No, man. I mean, honey, watch, man. Listen, not you, man, but I don't know, man. It's important to have the conversations throughout the process. I was just telling our pain, man, even with single moms, to have children, it's sort of a trained process, making sure your kids get to bed early by 8 o'clock during the week, making sure they got a balanced meal, making sure that they're learning age appropriate tasks that they can do. Yeah. So they're giving them direction and structure, whether it's just picking up your toys, putting them in the little bin, potty training them, you know what I'm saying? Teaching them little things, just little house things, little kitty stuff, reading to them aloud, letting them see the words in the book, those processes. And that usually can take 2 to 5 hours a day, but a lot of people are caught up in their own little nuances of life, and the kids sometimes don't get the attention. And then when the kids want attention, if I'm trying to do something, then it seems like, they're getting on my nerves now. I come home, here the kids, but if there was a structured pattern, it would balance itself out, and everybody.
Well, right. Let me put this to you, right? I think that people who have kids, I think your default value is to understand that they are going to take up some of your time. And it's not going to all be it could be as structured as it is. But watch, you live with your honey, I think, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But Trey's like a single dad and shit. How is that? How is the rules in your household when your daughter's with you? I mean, how is it structured? It's structured, right? You got some kind of method to the madness. Oh man, we can't hear you, man. Shit.
I'm gonna come back in.
Yeah, I hear we heard you. Yeah, we just heard you.
It's just a delay.
Yeah, it was just a delay.
Oh, okay. Well, look, there absolutely is structure. There's actually more structure in my house than probably at her mother's house. And that's for both my kids. Even for my son. My son stayed with me during COVID, and he talked about how strict it was at my house during COVID, because he had to wake up and he had to make his bed, and he had to, Yeah, man. Yeah, he had rules. You know what I mean? And I'm a military guy, so we know the first thing we do is we make our bed up, right? We were trained that way. So I taught him that way. I taught my daughter that. So yeah, we have structure here. There's a bedtime. There was a time where you could be on your devices, and there was a time he had to read books. He had to write a book report. I mean, we got rules. You don't get no summers off here. When I was growing up, we had to do book reports. I had goosebumps. I had lines of goosebump books in my, and I had to read them, and I had to do a book report about it. You know what I mean? We had structure. That's just what I come from. That's how I was raised. So yeah, at my house, yeah, that's how we get down. And then as he got older, a lot of that structure moved into taking care of a home. So now you gonna come outside and chop this wood with me. Now you're gonna cut this grass with me, and now you're gonna wash these cars with me. You like riding around in the car, but you're gonna help me wash this car now. You know what I mean? Like, like it moved into the more, how can I say, that manhood type stuff of taking care of a home.
Yeah,
what's expected of you. But absolutely there's structure. And I think personally, I read a long time ago in a book, and you guys are older than me, so you guys can tell me what I read was BS or not. But I read in a book a long time ago. My son was probably about 1 or 2, that said that kids that got chores were actually better as they got older. Like they were human beings as they got older, because there was that structure. Don't be afraid to give your kids chores and give them a lot of chores. And I remember growing up, guys, I was washing my clothes at 8 years old. At 8 years old, I was outside out back hanging them on the little, we didn't have a dryer, so we had to hang out that. Hang them up. And so I wonder if my discipline came from. I can tell people all the time, I was in the military long before I was actually in the military.
The military just fine-tuned. It just fine-tuned what you already knew. That's all it did.
What I already knew. Exactly.
But
exactly.
Those are the answers. You're giving the answers. See, if anybody out in the audience, that's really the answer. And that's probably one of the answers, that men are much better at structure when they're under that kind of pressure than women. I believe that if things were reversed and we had single fathers with kids, and I hate this, it's done crazy to have to be this way, who were in charge of the sole breadwinners, not breadwinners, the sole caregivers, the main caregivers for kids, we wouldn't have these fucking roving gangs down in Midtown, doing fuck shit. That shit wouldn't be going on.
Our pain is already it's already a factor. It's already been studied that children growing up with a father, they do just as good as 2-parent home, if not better. A father with some structure. Most of those kids.
But that's the answer. Huh? Good.
Well, and which is why these court systems need to go to a default 50-50 custody off rip. Off rip. Right. We don't need to have a discussion. Y'all don't want to be together? 50-50 immediately. And then you can work out an agreement from there if it needs to be tweaked based on schedules. But what we do is we take the kid and we automatically put him with the mom. And to me, that signals, especially if it's a boy, like that signals that we're handicapping that child immediately.
Trade the courts know that.
And we know that that's by design. See, now we understand that that's really by design, to keep chaos in the chaos. Just give them to the women, let them, and it's just chaos. And not that they're not good mothers, but they ain't the essential ingredient that boys and girls need. A woman can't provide.
Why you think they always for the most part, they'll let the white boy go with the father, be interactive with the father? As soon as that process happens, they default give it to the mother, and you have to fight for your right to see your child. You're going to spend some money and waste a lot of time. It sort of keeps you from really, if you're a guy that's working a warehouse job, a job you got to clock in hours, it sort of limits your ability to fight for your child, because you have to go to work, you have to clock in, you got to pay bills. So and that's what the courts do. But I can say this has been my thought for a remedy. If now the YouTube is here, if brothers in every little state, region, area can sort of come together in a sense and show up at those courts and say, hey, we need those laws changed, I think it'll draw a lot of attention for a lot of young people, a lot of people on child support. it could really change your life, because I think it'll help young brothers be more aware. Because I tell my son, if he has a child out of wedlock, he might struggle for most of his young adult life. I'll just keep him afloat, but he gonna have to feel it, because I've told him, don't have a child unless you get married. Even then, you know, you have to make sure you choose right. So far he's good, but I hope he don't get caught up, because
the only way to ensure that you don't have any issues in the family court system is to totally exclude the mother from the entire process. And the only way to do
the courts won't do that.
I don't need the courts. Well, I'm inside and it's cold. It's cold in here. I'm inside. I'm not outside. Come on, big hand. Leave me alone, big hand. Leave me alone. No, the point I'm trying to make is the only way to actually defeat that is to get rid of the woman altogether. And the only way to do that is to have a surrogate. That's it. That's the only option you really have.
Yeah, have kids like Michael Jackson.
Yeah, if you're not willing to fork over 60 to 100,000 per child, you're stuck. You're stuck, or adopt. Adopting, you can adopt.
You know how crazy that sounds.
No, that sounds good, man. That sounds
but 100 watts. That's the problem. That's the problem. We keep telling men that sounds crazy. Well, let me tell you what else sounds crazy. Standing in front of a white man who's in his 70s, trying to explain to him why it's okay for you to see your kid. That's crazy too.
And he gonna take your money.
Thank you.
We want all that.
But this is what I'm saying. Human beings are creating these ways to justify not being around other human beings. There are women that are justifying, I don't need a man. All I need to do is freeze my eggs and fertilize the egg, and I can have this baby by myself. Now there's going to be a bunch of men talking about, I don't need a fucking woman. I can just go find a surrogate to just carry my baby for 9 months, and then I can do this by my... Humans are creating excuses to not be around other human beings instead of people trying to figure out how to get their shit together to be better around other human beings. They would just say, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna find a surrogate to have this baby. And with the way AI going, we about to have AI girlfriends in the next 2-3 years. We about to have robot girlfriends in the next 2-3 years. So now you just buy you a robot to take care of the baby while you at work, and you don't never have to interact with another human being again, bro. Like, this shit is getting disgusting.
Well, okay, you use the word
the parties leaving out though is the state's involvement.
That's right.
Yeah. You want two people to get together, but you keep leaving out that the state and the leverage is in her hands. So you want men to go be with a woman, but we're forgetting that if she don't want to do this no more, she has all the backings and the powers of that state. All I'm simply saying is, I didn't say you didn't have to be with a woman. I said if you want to have a child, you could still be with a woman and have a surrogate. You could do both.
Yeah. You can come in with a child from the surrogate, and it gives you full autonomy for everything. It does. It gives you full autonomy. She don't look and look
until the surrogate.
She ain't got no rights to that. Now here's the trick bag. Listen, let's just say you want a child. I know Trey. Me and Trey don't agree a lot, but I tell you. Listen,
I know here. You go ahead.
Listen, these chicks out here moving reckless. They'll do it for 10,000. They'll do it for 10 bands and write the whole thing off. And then they'll see you go raise that strong son, because we ain't gonna let them be out here on some dumb stuff, YouTube stuff. You're like, no, you're gonna be engaged and active. And then I think over time, by the time he's about 12, 14, it'll be two bachelor pads, or it'll be like a bachelor pad, because he's self-sufficient. He's doing good in school. He's cooking meals. I know Trey gonna have him folding clothes and shit. So he's gonna be folding clothes, and he gonna be chilling. Even if you got a daughter, you could be like, you'll never dress like that. You ain't dating.
Somebody gotta fold them clothes. I ain't folding them.
That's what I'm saying. They do their chores. Do their chores. Learn how to cook. Learn a whole bunch of new skills, be smart in school, learn some math, read all that good shit.
So let's go back to this. So this
the watch is coming from. I understand what he's saying.
Yeah, okay.
I'm
Yeah,
simply
that's what I
saying if you don't want to deal with that, and I don't know if you guys have ever been to the family court system. I have. That shit is brutal. It's brutal, bruh. And that's even with a lawyer. I had a lawyer. It's brutal. It is brutal, and I'm trying to tell you, it will make you take everything.
Well, let's say this from Watts. This perspective is this: I think we are where we are because this is where women wants it to be. I mean, I think men in general. I think if we had to do like a numbers game, I think more men would be satisfied to find a woman to settle down with to have kids. As much as men want to be cock hounds, if they could find a loyal woman to hang out with and grow with and get comfortable with, I think they do it. But it's just not a good business deal because the women have, one, priced themselves out of the market, and two, they don't want to be married. They just want to be happy. You know, so in order to find a woman who hasn't just slutted herself out to these days, or because they get older, they're getting married older, right? So the older you get, the more experience you have, and not just forget about the sex part, the more set in your ways you are. So if you get married at 30 to 35, 40 years old, you know, there's hardly any way to mold a family unit between, because the man is older, you're older, and now it's just harder to get together. Now, if you want kids, you got to do it a little younger. But almost getting married in the 20s is almost a thing of the past, right? Because the man don't have the money that the women are asking for, right? And because they're looking for, in the black community, they're looking for guys in the finish line. Now we got what, a 30% marriage rate? 30%. You know, if you listen to the women talk, I say I listen to social media, and if you hear women talk and you see the way they vote, right? A lot of them are not really marriageable for a guy who wants to be traditional, right? I mean, and traditional doesn't mean that you have to pay all the bills. I swear to God, man. And when I was younger, all my uncles and aunts and the silent generation, the baby boomers, everybody was working. There was none of you think in my family we had some guys who had money where their wives could just stay home and chill. Fucking chicks were out working their asses off just like their husbands were. You know, they worked. Everybody worked. You know, so everybody acts like today is some new phenomenon when the economy is out of control, that the average guy is going to be able to take care of a household where the woman don't have to work. It's the most ridiculous con job I ever heard.
Yeah, but social media.
Yeah, so it's all bullshit. But, you know, so the only thing that changes, and even back then, it's not like the guys came home and they didn't do shit at home, right? They had a certain set of stuff that they had to do, but we did have roles, right? That my aunts cooked and all that kind of shit. You had to take care of the kids, especially in their formative years. You know, I mean, the notion of a house husband was like almost non-existent. I think it's up to like 10, 15% now.
Yeah,
house
but man, listen, my mother had 7 children, man. My father didn't participate in nothing about being a baby. When I was old enough, he bought a lawnmower, he primed it up, pulled the string, started up a couple times, and said push and cut the grass. And that's how he taught me how to do it. My mother used to come home and we had meals at least 5 days a week. Friday was her day off. She said, I ain't cooking for none of y'all. You find something in there, had plenty of food. Everybody played a role. All my brothers and sisters been working since age 14. I was the only one who couldn't get a job, a summer job. So I learned how to cut hair. And learn how to cut hair. I kept $40 in my pocket ever since I was 14. That was it. That's my limit. You hear me say $40. If I got $40, I can make the world spin. But again, it's the mindset of people. Honey Watts, I get you. Yes, people want that because you speaking from a man logical. Man, we got to be together. But we can't dictate how the women are moving and how the women are pushing the message to the younger women. Stay away from these niggas. That's what they saying to y'all.
Do you think all those things that you were talking about that you and your brothers and sisters had to learn, do you think those are things that your parents taught you because they were trying to keep you from being poor? Or like let me rephrase the question. do you think those are things that your parents put inside of you because of how you came up? Because it seems as though people that do become successful, their children don't get taught certain things. I'm guessing because they don't like. I'm trying to figure out where the disconnect comes from, where people that do grow up in the hood or in poverty or whatever the case may be, they do teach their children the value of getting a summer job, making your own money, shit like that. But for some reason, the parents that do have the money, for some reason, those lessons aren't being brought on by the kids. It seems to be this thing where society says that kids that come from wealth and to do well aren't self-sufficient the same way that children that come from less are. Like, maybe I'm not asking the question the right way. It don't make sense.
I hear you, but I don't know how true that is. Depends on the parents, even if they're rich. I'll give you an example, and I know people ain't gonna like this, but I think Donald Trump has raised some pretty hungry children. I think his kids are, I mean, with the silver tooth that they in, and these guys don't look spoiled at all, as opposed to Biden as one that can't get out of his own way. Right? You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, so it just depends on the people.
Yeah, because you can use Joe Jackson. Yeah, we all need a Joe Jackson around here right now.
Oh, yeah, but Jackson 5.
You know what I'm saying? But
hold on. Joe Jackson was OD. He was OD. He was OD.
Hold up, but they put him at the forefront of a bad father, but all his kids been millionaires since they was teenagers. So, hey, he could have whooped me and made me $100 million. But the point I'm trying to make with that is that
hold on. Let's not leave out though that Michael Jackson had mental health issues, and that
he did. Hold on. He did have mental. Hold up. He did have
his son's married to a woman. But
he had mental health.
They wasn't jacked up. His kids was jacked up, bro.
What I'm saying is,
Latoya and changed her entire face.
She never had a baby out of wedlock. And she never had a baby out of wedlock. Never.
Not having a child out of wedlock, not out of wedlock.
But in that time, she was.
I don't know why y'all do that. Why do you
hold up, Trey, man. Ain't nobody doing nothing, man. You give your point of view. I'm giving my point of view. Ain't nobody doing nothing. Mine is different from yours.
These are Joe Jackson.
Joe Jackson's family have been millionaires ever since they was babies. Michael Jackson was running from the man. He was caught up in his head. He was one of the baddest dudes in the music industry.
The premise of the question, though, is the people who are already rich. I know he did what he did, but Joe Jackson doesn't really fit the analogy we were talking about.
But because Joe Jackson was labeled as a bad person.
No,
Joe Jackson.
They weren't rich.
If a lot of our kids, right? But if a lot of our kids,
the question, Coach Ferg, was if kids come from a really rich family,
right? They don't get the information from their parents.
No, are they entitled? Do they behave entitled, or do they still try to bring it out of the mud, even though they have rich people? Do they learn?
Some do it, some don't. Some do it, some don't.
And that was the key.
And that's on both sides, even on the poor families. I never heard my family members talk poor. I never heard them make excuses for what I did not have. I don't remember sitting around with my friends talking about, man, we poor. We understood our condition. Everything I did was with teenagers. Wasn't no adult supervision. We was creating stuff on our own based on what we experienced. You know, even growing up in the hood. Hell, my first remembrance of life is in the projects, throwing dirt balls, catching Junie bugs and waltz with a big old pickle jar with lids on. Kids ain't got no hand-eye coordination no more. What I'm saying is this: there's no right or wrong way. As long as your parents talk to you and you talk to them. But being a teenager today is everybody's worrying about what somebody else got to say. And that's the problem for most black men. Stop worrying about what everybody else got to say and go do it.
Did you just say these kids have no hand-eye coordination?
Yeah, they don't. You see it out here. Everybody got big backs, man.
How big backs has nothing to do with hand-eye coordination. How are they capable of playing video games at the levels they're able to play video games if they don't have hand-eye coordination?
Yeah, but that's like, that's different. They got
right here. This right here is how they're doing surgery now, sir. They're doing surgery like this now.
That's entry level That's
You gotta get outside and get some of that vitamin D. You gotta get some vitamin D.
What this is I'm going to tell you that back in our generation, we went outside and played by the creek. And that's the problem with these kids. They ain't outside. But this right here, when you get older, sir, and you're going to need surgery, it's going to be the kids that
not by no niggas play video games.
Sir, that's how they. This goes to show how ignorant you are to what's actually happening in the world right now.
I'm not ignorant to the world. I see the world.
They are training them that way.
They're using robots.
They are doing robots. Thank you. So
it won't be young brothers and sisters because they're not being taught this. It won't be.
Okay, you're changing. You're moving the goal. You're moving the goalposts.
No, I'm thinking about. I'm talking color folk only.
Where do you think they're getting the kids from that are operating the robots? Sir,
I don't know what they getting. Where they getting them from?
They play video games.
Okay, are they getting them from the hood?
So this idea that playing video games that's what's going to keep you alive when you eventually need heart surgery.
Are they getting them from the hood?
You guys love to hate on these young guys. It's just different.
I'm not hating on the young guy. I'm asking the question.
You did things differently in Gen X than the boomers did.
Are they getting them from the hood? Are they getting them from the hood? Are they getting from these?
Who goes to the hood to get anything?
Well, they don't get their opportunities. I'm saying for the opportunities.
We got to stop talking in absolutes. A lot of people come out. We're talking layers, man. Everybody in the hood doesn't stay trapped in the hood.
Nope.
It's just, but there's exceptions of guys coming out and excelling. I mean, that's the way. It's always been that way.
Always.
Everybody who's successful probably has a story. Most people who have a modicum of success who can take care of themselves, if you go back into their past, they can tell you a story.
Yes.
Because most of us don't have a silver spoon in our mouths, right? And then poor is only relative. Because if you're in a neighborhood and everybody, is like you, as long as you can eat at night and shit, and you have a roof over your head, your existence is your existence. And you pick some friends that are cool, and you might have some friends that to stay away from. Or some acquaintances. Hey, I'm not going to hang out with Billy Bob or Davon because he's selling drugs.
That's true.
I can't hang out with him. I can't be in the car because if they bust him, I'm going down too. So I mean, it's you make choices. But I think there's layers to it all. It really is. I mean, but in the situation that we're in, we know we're in a trick bag of propaganda and programming, and I think we're starting to see it. I mean, just like this whole thing, and I won't have to go down in this thing with Obama coming out saying the homosexual thing. I'm seeing a lot of black women, right, talking about how they were against it or what he said. But these are the same black women who vote 92% for that exact very thing. These are the same fucking women who are going to go to the polls and going to vote that kind of shit in at 92%. So if they're saying that they don't want their sons to be mentored by a gay guy, then how far are they willing to go to make that shit come true? Because they still want to put the Obamas on the pedestal and the Democrats and stuff like that. So what are you going to do? There's got to be a mass, there's got to be a thought process that moves us to a point where we're going to say, forget about all the shit in the past. I forget about it. Learn from the shit that happened to us in the past. But what are we going to do about how we're going to move forward in the future, right? Whether we're talking families, whether we're talking success, and there's room for everything. Some people will never get married, right? So we can't shit on that because that's true. I mean, even in the best of times, everybody didn't get married, right? And then, some people are going to not have any kids. The fact is that the birth rates and all that kind of stuff, women are deciding to have less kids. I mean, the ones who are well-to-do and not be married because they want to be free. They don't want the rigors of somebody telling them what to do. So if you are married, then your key is when you send your wife out into that world with all these people who are single, you got to be careful who she's listening to, right? Because it's a tough world out there. So I don't know, man. It's just so many variables to life, man. I just think we get through it by the grace of God. Are you investing your money? Are you doing this? Are you raising your kids? Are you teaching them anything? I don't know, man. It's just so many. We got so many. We had a list of things we could talk about today that
100 put out there. I mean, this whole thing about success and trauma, you know, how to get successful if you have a lot of trauma. I'm looking at some videos and I'm kind of bouncing around, but there's no shortage of topics on how we need to live these days. But I don't know what all the answers are, other than when we do find some answers, we should just say what we think, right? If we're a father, we got to have structure in the house, right? I think that's a message that we should say more often. If you have money, you have to learn the value of it and how to invest it. At least some simple lessons. And, so somebody just, anybody could just jump in. So Trey, we didn't ask you about the topic, right? The trauma of success. In your words, what do you think what that means? Is there trauma?
No, what exactly, when we say trauma of success, what exactly are we saying?
I looked at, there's people who have fear of being successful, or do they self-sabotage?
Of course. I think even for me, like a lot of, when you start to get a little bit of success, like it's uncharted water. So you start to shoot yourself in the foot. You start to think, like, you start to lose a little bit of confidence. Can I actually do it? Right? Or one of the things I had to learn is that failure was a part of it. Like when I first started in the stock market, dude, I lost I'll never forget it. I lost $10,132.19. I'll never forget it. And I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, what am I doing? Like, why am I here? What am I doing? Obviously, I don't know what I'm doing. And I think what you eventually realize is that failure is a part of it. I wouldn't necessarily call it trauma, but it is a part of the success you have. From what I've seen, the most successful people, man or female, they failed at first, like miserably. They failed miserably. I read a book that Damon John put out, and it was the Power of No, I think it's called. I can't remember. It's called The Power of No. And in that book, he details like all of these guys and like their companies. And one of the ones that stood out to me was a guy from Under Armour, because he's from Maryland. I'm in Maryland. So it stood out to me. And he was talking about guys that got told no repeatedly. Damon John himself got told 27 different banks no to FUBU. I think we could call that trauma, sure, being rejected and being told no. We could call it trauma, but is it really? It's more. To me, I don't think you fail. I think you learn. You learn how. I think it's a cheat code. When something doesn't go the right way, it's like, all right, I know not to do that now, because that doesn't work that way, right? So now I'll do something differently. But I think if we call it trauma, then it's necessary. I think it is absolutely necessary to get to a point of success. You're going to have to go through some shit. I'm just going to be frank about it. You're going to go through some trash. You're going to go through some bad times. You're going to lose money. You're going to lose investors. You're going to lose, we were talking about, was that I was on that stream with you, RP. We're talking about family. Like, your family is not going to be the ones that support you the most. It's going to be people you don't know. It's going to be random people you don't know. They're going to be more willing to invest with you. Like, I think all of that's a part of it. And I think the better you are in handling that trauma, I think the better off you will be. And I also think you're a better teacher to those who are coming behind you, because you can explain to them how to deal with said trauma.
So what not to do.
But I think the word trauma, I think it's a little too harsh, right? Because all men have a journey. You must embark on a certain journey. It's even in trying to, do business, trying to learn something, you have to do it by a strict code. And then you learn nuances along the way, even in your failures. I think it's in it. I found out for myself, it was important for me to get outside of my city once I went to college. Like, this is something I know I'm gonna always do. And I used to just watch other people, other cultures. I used to tell myself, I want to know everything the white man do. I want to do it too. I just had that mindset because I didn't have no fear. And then looking back and going back and forth to my hometown, I'm like, man, just imagine what I would be doing if I would have stayed here. So I think, I guess the word trauma is difficult for me to sort of put it together with success, but I think those journeys and being told no and being, I guess, not given opportunities by other men is just part of the journey, I think.
Yeah, I mean, trauma, I mean, we could get hung up on a word, but I mean, failure could be somebody's trauma, but doesn't make you quit or doesn't make you try harder, right? I mean, I remember I was in a meeting with this guy. He ran the company. He was multi-millionaire, and the project was going south and shit, and I'm saying, okay, so we're going to make this mid-course correction. And here I am, like a dog shit, stupid GS13, and this guy built a multi-$100 million conglomerate, and I'm talking to him like we're buddies and shit, right? And so I said, okay, we got to do this thing because I was in charge of making the program work. And he says, well, he said, this is risky. I said, yeah, man, but I never failed in anything. And he was a nice guy. So he looked at me. He says, Rich, I admire you. I failed. He said, I failed many times. And I'm looking at it, I got the message immediately. This guy is running a multi-million-dollar business, $100 million business. I'm telling him I never failed. He called me by my name, Rich. I admire you. I've failed so many times in my life, I don't know what to do. And I got the message immediately. I shut the fuck up after that. So you got to learn some of those lessons because sometimes you learn the most lessons when you fail, and then you keep moving, you make mid-course corrections, you get up and you move. Now, as long as there's a failure you could come back from and you don't destroy everything, well, that's the difference. So and then this must have been like 30 years ago. I never forgot that. Because he was a cool guy, man. This guy was a serious dude. But that's the message, and he must have failed along the way and he became a multi $100 million business owner. So there you go.
I think
so that's the trauma.
When it came to titling this episode, I kind of wanted to challenge. I think the hyperbole, I think, is the right word. I wanted to kind of challenge the hyperbole of like men and success, because listening to all of y'all, it's just like we're basically simplifying it to, hey, some shit gonna happen, suck it the fuck up, it's a part of the journey, you know what I'm saying? And I do think that as men, because of the responsibility that we have, I do understand the approach to it. I do also acknowledge that if we as men were to look through our journey and we were to pull pieces of our journey, if we were to pull that piece, a specific piece of your journey off and was to analyze that particular piece, you would be able to see the trauma in whatever piece is there, right? That would be the overanalyzing part, the getting too deep into it part, right? Because as men, we just suck it up and move on. And I do think that a lot of times because of that, there are lessons that are missed because you're just looking at it as, all right, well, this is just something else I have to get over. I think sometimes we miss some of the avoidance, and we miss some of the red flags that we could have avoided particular situations just because we just have this general overall suck it up, get through it, and we'll figure it out. And I want, like how women have this, we want everything. I want men to be able to enjoy their journey a little bit more than what it appears men are able to do. Like, it just, a lot of times when I talk to men, it just seems like your journey is supposed to just be suffering and then you just enjoy it at the end. And I don't really like the thought of having to spend the next 30 years of my life just suffering through some shit to have to enjoy it for whatever time I may have left at the end of it, right? Just based on the thought process of being a man and just suck it the fuck up and get it done. But
on that point though, whose fault is really that? I mean, I would say you're right on the right track. I don't think men should look at their life as some kind of burden. I think we could be within our nature and be very happy and comfortable with that shit, right? I think we let outside people put these expectations on, especially women. And I think more men need to be able to say, fuck you, I'm not living that way. Maybe that means we ain't going to be together, but that's all right. Women are really a dime a dozen. pretty women are really a dime a dozen. There's a whole lot of them out there, you know. And so the fact is, I think men put more pressure on themselves than they have to because they're chasing this thing that they shouldn't be chasing, you know. So I don't think it's overly burdensome to have to earn your keep in life. Why? Right? It's just something that we do. It gives us purpose. Right? It gives us something to move forward to. It gives us something to look forward to, right? And all that kind of stuff. You know, so you find your niche and you look for your purpose, and there should be some pleasure in that journey. Right? And I think the fact that it's not is outside people telling you that you need to toil your way to the top in terms of happiness and shit. I think men measure happiness different than way women do it, right? I think a man is perfectly happy if he has a household, thriving children, if he wants that, or a thriving business if he wants that, or success in the market if that was his goal. You know, women are just, everything is about when they're happy, it means how they feel. And regardless if shit is all fucked up around them, if they feel okay, then it's all right. It doesn't matter who they destroy on the way there. I just need to be happy. So we don't look at happiness the same way. I think for men, happiness is satisfaction. At least if I had to put a word to it, you know. So I don't know. So you're right, but I think it's a self-inflicted wound where men think their basic and I want to use the word burdens in life is something that's to make them. And it shouldn't be, maybe burden's not the right word, but as you're earning your keep, you should find things that make you happy, make you feel satisfied that you're on the journey that you want to be on. I think your purpose should be something that fulfills you. And whether that's being married or having kids or building a business or doing whatever the hell you want to do, even getting through a book that took you a year to read. I just think that I think we need to look at our lives differently. I think we need to center it a little bit more about what makes us satisfied in life. And I think we'd be much happier.
Our opinion, your message is perfect. But the problem is people on YouTube have already been beat up in life, right? And this is where we've sort of been dysfunctional over the last 40, 50 years. Most of our young men don't get those messages from their fathers when they're young boys, young 12, 13-year-old. You know what I'm saying? When you start having your little wet dreams, you're waking up, you know what I'm saying? You don't went 2 shoe sizes larger. Those messages would be, I think and this is my dream about if it could have went a certain way, if that connection would have always been allowed within our community, most brothers would be outshining the rest of the world. That's what I believe. But we never got those messages across the board. A lot of people came, you know, single moms was on some mess sometime, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of people live through that. And brothers still are trying to find a niche. And that's why I think YouTube is beneficial. I think the benefits of YouTube will reflect 10 years from now. Because the young brothers are taking a different approach to the women. They ain't listening to the Keith Sweat songs. You know, they sort of taking their power back. And it seems a little ugly right now, but I think in the end, those that 22, 25, they're going to be able to pick and choose the type of women that they want. But I don't think the women are really taking brothers that serious. But it's a whole new age of young brothers out there. You muted our pain.
Now, I hear what you're saying. I see Anissa has a couple of posts up here. I patently don't agree with hardly anything she's saying up there. I think as soon as people are willing and ready to be married, I think the earlier the better. I mean, you should at least finish school. But
I think we need to understand that Nisa's point is coming from a line of feminism.
Right.
Men and women are not the same.
Right.
Men not necessarily. The women absolutely 20s to get married, because what we have here now is we have a bunch of 40-plus-year-old women running around talking about they can't find what they're looking for, crying into a camera on TikTok because they waited. They chose their careers first. And then, this is the craziest part to me. This is where I get a little aggravated. They got the nerve to tell us that they settled for the man that they chose in their 40s and 50s. You settled for him. So you mean to tell me from 18 to whatever age you are, you couldn't pull the guy that you actually wanted. You couldn't get him. And now you meet a good man, a guy who's actually going to marry you, and you have the nerve to say you settled for him because you chose your career over a family when you should have been doing this in your 20s. Now, I've said this before, men, we have a little bit more leeway, right? Because our bodies biologically work differently than women's. With this idea that you can wait until you're 35 plus, start a family, okay. Well, there's going to be some consequences that come along with that. And one of the consequences is the guy you really, really want, you're more than likely you're probably not going to be able to pull him because he can do better than you at 37. He can at his older age, and all the statistics bear this out. When you look at the projection of a man's salary from what I literally looked up the other day. What was I making as an E4 in 2005? I mean crumbs, bro. I mean crumbs. We weren't making no money. I mean, y'all was in the military. We weren't making no money in 2005. It was crumbs, bro. So I was an E4, and I was stationed in Alaska, so I was getting a little bit more BAH than others because it was expensive up there, right? But it was crumbs. And I look at that now versus what I was making my first couple years on the police department. As a man, we're going to gain in salary. And I said this to a woman the other day because she's like 19 or something. And I was like, you better get your man now while he's cheap. Get him now while he's cheap. Get him now while he ain't got no money and he ain't got no resources, because as he gains resources, his idea of what he wants in a woman is going to grow too. He doesn't have to really put up with you being wider and chubbier than what you actually are. When he gets older and start making money, he can actually say, I want a narrower waist woman. I want a younger woman. I want that, because he's got the money to do so, right? He has the resources to do so. He's built himself up, right? They don't, like men, they don't go backwards as they get richer. That's not how it works. But we have this idea that we want to tell women like, oh no, you got time. I disagree. I don't think you have time. I actually think if you were smart as a woman, you get your husband and your kids all out the way before 22. That way, by the time the youngest is 18, you'll only be 40 and you can go live the rest of your life. That's what I think. That's the perfect situation. You have all your kids by 22. You done had your husband for 18 years. You got everything you need, and you only 40 years old. You want to go back to school? You can go back to school. You want to start a business? You can start a business. You can literally do whatever you want, and you're only 40 years old. You're only 40 years old.
Right.
But we don't tell women that.
My last one will be out at 46.
See what I mean? Yeah. See what I mean? And so, I don't have that luxury. I waited until 33 to have mine. So I'll be in my 50s by the time.
Daughter, I was 41 when my youngest daughter was born. I was 41. So I understand. I think one of the things I hate the feminists, not hate, but what the feminist women say, and it's such a lie, that even if you got married at 24, 25, the man and a woman, you're still growing together, yeah, but you can't stop. You got to stop calling these people kids. They're not. They're grown adults. That's one. And they're the most moldable at that age. And if they're both, at least, it doesn't stop you from going back to school if you had to. It doesn't stop you from, excelling in your business just because you're married. This whole notion that anything that you want to do that's creative and move forward that you can't do in a marriage is a lie. You absolutely can, especially if that's part of your plan. And women say this shit all the time. The only thing you can't do when you're married is suck somebody else's Johnson. That's it. You got to be faithful, to the guy that you're with, and he got to be faithful to you. Everything else, y'all can grow together. So this whole notion, even children,
you're going to lose your job like that CEO just did.
Yeah, I mean, come on. As a matter of fact, it behooves you to be married, as you move up in the ranks. you know, because that shows discipline. Oh, so yeah, what 100 said he got to cut out. That's what we want.
Look, it's just one of these things where we, especially in the Black community, we don't want to admit that we were lied to. We don't want to admit it. It was a lie, right? Because what we should have been telling Black women, especially Black women, find your husband early, get married, have your kids, get this shit out the way. But instead, we flipped it on his head and we did it the opposite way. So we told the women, go get a degree and go get a job. And don't worry, somebody will be around for you when you're in your 40s. But what we didn't tell them, she is not going to work in your favor, and that you're going to have 6 miscarriages first, and that you're going to go through all these other things before you may actually get that one child, and that you're going to have all this trauma that you're going to bring with you, and that you're going to date a bunch of different men. And we didn't tell them all of that. We just told them, oh no, get a degree and do all of this. When in actuality, the best thing for them to do is to use your college years to get the man you're looking for. Get him while he's on sale. He cheap right then. Don't wait until he becomes a heart surgeon. Now he's a heart surgeon. He ain't looking at you. He's looking at the 23-year-old nurse that he worked with. That's what he's looking at.
Well, here's another thing. Nobody told them. The feminists didn't tell them that by the time they want to get married in 35 and 40, that you're almost completely unmarriageable. You're completely, as a woman in America, in the West, you're pretty much almost unmarriageable. You know, the guys who will marry you probably already have their children because they're not looking for you for children. They might like you, they might love you, but you know, you're not really a marriageable type person the older you get. You know, men who are looking to be married older, well, they're putting themselves in a space, not out of desperation. Women who get into the 40s and 50s and they want a companion or what they call a partner, there's an air of desperation around that. You know, I don't think it's the same for men. So,
and look, this was my one beef with Kevin Samuels, and what my one issue. I had some other issues with.
Yeah, some other. There's a few.
But one of the issues, my biggest issue with him is he was always trying to get people who were already older to get together. And I'm like, why are you pressing 40-year-olds to get together? It doesn't make any sense. Like nothing can come from them. We can't help the community by putting 2 50-year-olds together. Like that, nothing's gonna come from that. Like, I get it. I get what he's trying to do, but why are we not sending this message down to young guys? Why are we not finding the loves of our lives in high school anymore? Whatever happened to that?
Trey, what you mean the birth control pill happened?
I mean, you're right, Coach Ferg.
The birth control.
Birth control has really destroyed a lot of our community and really hurt us. I mean, we down 20 million soldiers anyway, right? We should have 20 more. There should be 20 more of us. We should have a population in the 70 millions at this point, right? Right.
Yes.
But I just look at this and I'm like, because I can remember having a conversation with my sister and telling her like, "Yo, you in college?" She was at Dale State. I'm like, "You looking for a husband, right?" She's like, no. And I'm like, okay. And now you fast forward a few years, we're talking about 35 unmarried and no kids. So you wasted a prime opportunity. And this isn't just her, Coach Ferg. It's all her friends. All her friends the same way.
Yeah.
All her friends the same way. I went out to visit her. And I'm like, damn, all these beautiful, fine-ass Black women out here. And
just getting ran.
Yeah, exactly. Ain't got no husband, ain't got no kid. I'm like, this is crazy. And for her, she live in LA, so the competition is stiff.
Yeah, I know it is.
LA is as comparable to Miami and Atlanta and DC and New York. Like it's like, and I just don't understand this thought process of why do we keep doing this to women? And this is why I keep saying one of the things I actually truly think will help to start getting with older men who are, I don't mean older or like 60s, but I mean like maybe 10, maybe 15 years older than you that are actually established in their careers. Because I think that's where the alignment would come and actually would help. But we keep telling these young women to get with these young guys and they don't want to do it. They don't want to get with a 22-year-old because he's not a streamer and he ain't making millions of dollars online like Kai Cenat. Well, Kai Cenat is one of one. He's one of one. What are we talking about? Like 99% of 20-year-olds is broke. And they're supposed to be. I was broke as a 20-year-old. I'm sure as y'all was broke as a 20-year-old. Like, you're supposed to be broke at 20. Your 20s is for building. But what we've done is we told women, well, if the men are building in their 20s, you build too. But the problem is that when he hits 35, he ain't looking for other 35-year-olds. He starts looking down back into the 20s again. You got a real problem now because you're not being sought out. It's crazy talk. We led them astray, and a lot of it is because they wanted to believe in feminism. They wanted to go with this. Right. And feminism has screwed them. It screwed a lot of women. We got a lot of 50-year-old women that don't have no husbands, don't have no kids. And all they doing is perpetuating the propaganda and telling a younger woman to do the same shit that they was doing. It's crazy.
Absolutely. Yeah. You know, so listen, I'm looking at it firsthand, you know, my youngest daughter, she's just working, man. But she's got a lot of friends. My oldest daughter, she had a bite at the apple, didn't work out. But now she's in the mix, man. She's caught up in the matrix, man, you know, looking at can I find the right guy here and there? So, you know, and she said, and she's just focusing on other things. Hopefully that say, listen, you know, pray on it or something that somebody chooses your ass. But you know, hey, it's just the way it is. I didn't know the pool would be so fucked up for them, but you know what? I don't envy these young people.
And our pain, she in a tough time because now the roles have reversed. The women got to go talk to the men.
Yeah.
Back in the day, the men came and we went running after them.
Yeah, man.
Now, men sitting still, they like, shit, I'm not approaching you. I'm not talking
about you. Said the roles are reversed, the man. They ain't moving. They ain't playing keep sweat. They ain't playing keep sweat. They playing, I ain't thinking about you. You little stupid ass. That's what they playing. So
I watch a lot of vloggers that are in their 20s. These dudes they not stunting off these women, these girls. They'll put them in their videos to get some content out of it, but like to actually date them, they don't pay them no attention. And you can see these girls are thirsty. They want to talk. They want to and these guys are like, nah, I'm good. Like they are so focused on the clothing brand or their cars or whatever it is that they working on. They're not paying them attention. And I'm like, yo, this is so. If
you see what Cautionary is doing, man, he might have a girl here and there, but girls are the last thing on his mind. He's trying to build an empire.
He's trying to build an empire. He's trying to build a media conglomerate. He's trying to build a media. He ain't thinking nothing about no women. And that's because we had the feminism pushed these young boys away from the girls while they was in high school. And all of this propaganda. And so the guy said, well, fuck it then. I'll focus on me. Now look at us.
Yeah.
Now look at us.
And anytime he's ready to go backwards, he's not going to have any problem getting pick of the litter, man. You know,
and you think he's going to pick a 30 or 40 year old?
No, I hope not. I hope not.
Listen, when he get 45, he might go and choose one because he'll be good then.
No, because he wants children.
But that's the benefit of YouTube for men, though. That's the benefit of social media for men because now men see men from coast to coast, and we see that sometimes we got to hold ourselves accountable looking at other men. See, it's a very simple tool that I've been seeing because working with young people in like real time and then coming to this space where those young people are now adults, I'm seeing the real time people are starting, a lot of men get the message from wherever they get it from, but it's about being better. So when young men hear that constantly, they trying to get better. And now their focus is not chasing a woman at the spot. You know, they can have a few dollars and put their money together and the few chicks will come over to blow up the spot. You know, they'll do it for $200 and 10 of us together, $10 a piece. You know, and that's how women are saying, go live free, go be you. And the brothers, just focus, do what y'all doing. I said, Trey, I'm gonna say this, I'm gonna shut up. Between now and the time the Olympics roll around, I think you're gonna see the brothers sort of jump up a whole notch from coast to coast because the whole world is coming here. And the whole new brand of woman, a good fine woman, so people gonna have money. And they're gonna be looking.
Stay on that point though, Coach. Let me ask this question to both of you guys, right? And I hope I didn't lose the bubble. Yeah, I hear a lot of people saying, and I think it's a projection and I think it's a lie, but I don't have the data,
that there's some kind of epidemic of male loneliness, and I don't believe that's just true. I don't really. There's some men who are lonely, but I don't think men are lonely the way men might be alone, but they're not emotionally lonely like I think women would be when they're alone. But is there a real epidemic of male loneliness that they're trying to push, or is just another one of these propaganda fucking stunts?
It's propaganda. It's propaganda. It's not a real thing. Let me tell you something. First of all, as you grow, you realize that to be a man is to be lonely anyway. And most times, in most cases, you are going to be alone, right? Which is why a lot of guys seek the marriage and seek the family, because it's one of the only ways that you aren't alone. But I can remember being 20, 21, 22 in the military and had my apartment in New Jersey, you know what I mean, in Lumberton, New Jersey, and I lived by myself. You know what I mean? Like that's a part of life, being alone. But the other part of this is too, we always act like that because a man is alone, I mean that he's lonely, that he's alone. That's not how it works for us. Sometimes, and maybe for a lot of us, being alone is actually exactly where we want to be, because it's peaceful, it's quiet,
Yes.
it's not chaotic. And so people will take that and say, yeah, but he lives alone. That's because he wants to. He wants to live alone. The fact of the matter is, in this day and time, there are a lot of women that would be happy to go be with a man who has his own home and is stable. She would love to be able, because that makes things easier for her. We have a lot of guys out here that are not willing to jeopardize their peace, and I don't blame them. I don't blame these guys one bit. Don't ever jeopardize your peace. I say it all the time. If it costs you your peace, it's too damn expensive. It costs too much. Don't jeopardize it. So
yeah, keep going.
So no, I don't think there's an epidemic of loneliness. I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to subterfuge or trying to throw us off the scent that it's the women who are lonely.
Absolutely.
It's always projection. It's the women.
Projection.
It's always projection, right? It's the women who are on TikTok saying, I went out tonight and not one man talked to me. I went to the gym and nobody, I just walked past a construction site and nobody catcalled me. I don't understand. I just saw a video of a white girl that said, she said, we just went out. She said, what's wrong with these men? Touch a boob. She said, touch a boob.